Hello. Welcome to Reading to Podfic. I'm your host, Jay, Pan, or Bean, whichever you prefer, or come up with a new name for me and drop it down in the comments. Today I'll be reading Baffled by Orphan Account on AO3. This is the third and final part of the Heroic Epiphanies series. This has 2,084 words and 2 chapters. Summary. Midoriya Izuku makes one hell of an impression on Class 1A. Aizawa realizes that he hates hormonal teenagers, and Midoriya and Bakugou have a bit of a reconciliation. I don't know, they tie up some loose ends and fit in, unfortunately for Aizawa, a fair amount of PDA. In all honesty, Class 1A is fucking baffled. Quick note before this properly begins, Mineta doesn't even exist in this fic. Like, actually, the author states Mineta doesn't exist. Shinsou took his rightful place in 1A. Chapter 1. Rain starts coming down hard when Shota gets the phone call. It rattles the windows and thunders tearing across the sky like some angry god, but the second he hears a voice on the other side of the phone say the 2 words, he's awake. He's gathering his things and muttering something to Izashi to take care of his baffled class. The rain is soaking through his hair, and when he arrives, he looks like utter shit. But he literally cannot give any fucks the second he sees Midoriya fucking Izuku sitting up in bed with Quirk restraining in handcuffs and a shit-eating grin on his face. Problem child, Aizawa murmurs, and he doesn't try to hide the utter relief that makes his voice hoarse and desperate. Dad, Midoriya murmurs back, arms expectantly reaching out for a hug, and the staff around him are just as baffled as his students had been when he reaches down and hugs Izuku tightly, carefully avoiding his bandaged stomach. Izuku pulls him closer to whisper something in his ear, which would end up making Aizawa question the mindset of every teenager he'd ever known. I lived, bitch. Aizawa blanches. Izuku fucking Midoriya, he tries to start, but doesn't know how to end the sentence in a way that conveys enough sheer disappointment. Izuku only cackles and reaches out to ruffle his soaking wet hair. Missed ya, Shota. Kid, if you ever show up to my doorstep while bleeding out ever again, Shota growls, glancing over the dark rings hanging under Izuku's eyes and the tubes connected to his arms. I'm gonna expel you. Can't expel me if I'm not... You're going to UA. It's your parole. Izuku looks up at him incredulously. Aizawa, you're a pro-hero. That means you, of all people, shouldn't be taking drugs. Oh, Midoriya, I'm serious. Nezu judged that you haven't committed any real crimes besides breaking and entering public buildings and stealing someone's bike. It was a fucking emergency, okay? It's not my fault Toppy forced me to go buy toilet paper in the middle of the night. Plus, he must take some very shits, because when I got back to the bathroom, it was fucking... I cannot express how much I don't want to hear about your teammates' diarrhea. It wasn't diarrhea, Shota. Me and Togo just decided to put laxatives in his... God have mercy on me. And despite the pure torture of how Izuku continued to talk about laxatives and explosive diarrhea, Shota found himself smiling. Izuku Midoriya was a mystery, one he was glad he'd have the pleasure of solving. Class 1A was, to be frank, baffled. Aizawa Shota, their recently dubbed assaholic professor by the Holy Trinity of Kaminari, Kirishima, and Ashido, was standing at the front of the class next to one of the members of Judgment, one of the most feared vigilante groups in the country. And this was apparently their leader. Some cute kid with a constellation of freckles on his face and shy smile that could rival the fucking sun. Even the more distant students, Todoroki and Tokoyami mostly, had their full attention on this kid, curious and enamored almost. The shocked silence was broken when a chair screeched against the floor and fell with a loud thud. Bakugou Katsuki had stood up, a million words struggling to get out at once and longing in his eyes. This was an occurrence that baffled the students of 1A most of all. The shaken look in Bakugou Katsuki's eyes. This was a kid who could write a fucking trilogy of books using only his colorful vocabulary and vast knowledge of snark and insults. Fucking hell, Deku? He sounded choked. Even Shota raised a brow, sending a questioning look to Bakugou's sudden outburst. The new kid gave a cute smile and a shaky wave, mumbling something timidly. Reunions later, Katsuki. Sit down first, Aizawa drawled, pinching the bridge of his nose as he felt another headache coming on. Once Katsuki pulls his chair back up and drops back into his seat, never taking his eyes off of the other boy, he turns back to the new student, gaze softening just a bit. Care to introduce yourself first? Sure thing, Dad. He laughs with the most angelic innocence ever known to man, and 1A is lost. Ida's mouth fell open in shock. His jaw was probably going to hit the ground if Sue hadn't pushed his back up. Kirishima was on the floor dying. Todoroki was scanning between the two as if trying to figure out how the hell they were related. Yuraka was trying to figure out how this kid wasn't dead yet if he was calling Aizawa, out of all people, Dad. I'm Midoriya Izuku, though some of you know me as Blink. Holy shit, the entire class whispers. Aizawa sends them a glare, but the class is too distracted with his Izuku to notice. I know my views on heroics and heroes probably don't sit with you well, but I'm asking you to give me a chance to earn your respect as a fellow peer. I've been watching Shota's class, actually, and you guys are on the right course. Though that's his judgment to make, not mine. And a choir of angels begin to sing somewhere in the distance when Izuku fucking beams. The class doesn't miss the way he calls their professor by his first name, and apparently Aizawa doesn't miss it either, the way pleasant surprise is written all over his face. Already earned it. Some kid with purple hair huffs, and Izuku hears it, a flustered bloom of pink crawling up his cheeks. So nice to meet you, I guess. Aizawa-sensei, can I speak to Kachan for a moment? Who? He means me, Bakugou mumbles. Already standing up again and reaching towards Izuku, the classroom falls into a deafening silence when Midoriya ignores the hand entirely and pulls Bakugou Katsuki into an embrace, his cute freckled arms coming up to rest around Bakugou's neck. He doesn't freeze and explode the poor kid. In fact, Katsuki fucking melts like he's touch-starved, tension leaving his body almost immediately. Holy shit, Kirishima whispers. Holy shit, Kominori agrees. He's so whipped, someone mumbles, and the entire class finds the remark to be the catalyst of an epiphany. They were totally dating at one point, right? Take the PDA out of my classroom, you two. Aizawa breaks the relative silence, and Izuku flushes in embarrassment, having to gently push Bakugou off of him and pull him out the door. Once they were gone, Aizawa scans the class, hesitating before he clears his throat. He's here on parole, but that doesn't mean you don't have to respect him. In fact, if I hear of any maltreatment towards him, I will see to it personally. The hiss threat in the last sentence makes the temperature in the class drop. Not that any of us would even think of it, Scarf Man. Kirishima pipes up, immediately breaking through the sinister mood. Izuku's the manliest ray of sunshine I've ever seen. Where'd you find him, Sensei? He's so cute! Yuraka adds a teasing tone in her voice. Aizawa shoots her a half-hearted glare before answering. Believe it or not, he showed up at my doorstep with a stab wound that went through his entire body. He threw himself in front of Stan's blade to protect another hero, Ingenium. And at this, Ida freezes. Aizawa starts to regret his compulsive explanation, blaming it on his stupid teaching instincts. I must give him my thanks, then. If it weren't for him, Stain would have been caught, and my brother would be dead. Well, not right now. He and Katsuki are working out some stuff, I think. Yuraka begins, only to be interrupted by a loud thud against the door and melodic laughter. Most definitely Midoriya's, almost drowned out by Katsuki's rough voice. You fucking nerd! Aizawa's scarf shoots out and grips the door handle, pulling hard and forcing the door open. Suddenly, a blur of blonde and green hair tumbles to the floor, Izuku unfortunately ending up on the bottom. Green eyes glance at Aizawa from Izuku's compromising position. Oops, he smiles. Aizawa's scarf tugs Bakugou off of him, violently almost. Aizawa looks like he's seething, but Izuku calms him down with another soft chuckle. He wasn't hurting me, he just misses me, don't you, Gachan? Christ. See what you've done, Sensei? I'll never hear the end of this. Katsuki growls, swatting away the constricting fabric of Aizawa's scarf. The class of 1A was still, to be frank, baffled. You can't hog him, Bakugou! Ashido pouts, tugging on Izuku's arm, while the poor ex-vigilante gives the both of them a shy smile. When the bell rang for lunchtime, Katsuki had wasted no time in dragging him off to sit next to him, thankfully at the Baku Squad table, just so Mina could bother him while the others were busy examining conspiracy theories regarding the two's weird relationship. Fuck off. He's my nerd. I called dibs on him when we were like 5. 6, actually. You bit me, you big baby jerk. Izuku playfully laughs, tugging down the collar of his sweater. Ashido's eyes widen at the bite scar that was nestled right in the crook of Izuku's neck, and she nearly fainted at the way Bakugou was smiling proudly at it. Exactly. I called dibs. It hurt! Bakugo's smile fell immediately at that, even though Izuku still had a playful tone. Ashido feels like she's been hallucinating everything all day, because holy shit, was that regret in Bakugo's eyes? I know. I'm sorry. Katsuki mumbles, his head dropping to Izuku's shoulder. Now Ashido knows she's hearing things. I'm not mad anymore, Kachan. We talked about... That was 5 fucking years ago. Ashido hears Bakugo choke down the remorse in his voice, but it seeps through anyways. I'm still just as shitty now as I was then. Holy shit, Ashido thinks. It's like they've forgotten I'm here. Izuku immediately turns to him, a frown replacing his smile. Katsuki doesn't meet his eyes. You better, Kachan, Izuku whispers. You said sorry, you hugged me, you said that stuff in the hallway. You can't tell me you're a bad person if you know you're trying to change. There's people beginning to notice the two. Kirishima holding up a finger to cut off his excited conspiracy with Kaminari to point out the sudden closeness of the two. In fact, it seemed the entirety of Class 1A was sending them a glance. You've always been so fucking... And when Katsuki pauses, Izuku froze as if he was scared, only to relax with a deep blush spreading across his face when Katsuki murmurs something with a sneer. And suddenly, Ida is storming over, separating the two before things get any steamier. As I often hear Yoraka say, 7 feet for Jesus, Bakugo. Izuku giggles when Bakugo snaps his murderous gaze up, even though Ida is seemingly unfazed. Who sent you to cock-block me, Four Eyes? The other half of the class that you've been suffocating with this gross sexual tension. Shinsou drawls from a few seats over, disgust and a trace of amusement in his voice. Oh yeah? Well, the other half of the class can suck my... Save it for Midoriya, Bakugo. The class fell silent the second Aizawa spoke up, an annoyed glare accompanied to an amused tone. Joda, you fucking traitor! Izuku hisses, and the entire class silently agrees that no one as cute as Midoriya should sound that badass when they swear. That's what you get for PDAing the lunch hall's problem child. And that's when Ashido fucking faints. Maybe, just maybe, she'd wake up to a world that hadn't gone completely insane. That is the end of chapter 1. Moving on. Oh, chapter 2 is a fucking update. Might continue, but I've decided to focus attention on another Vigilante Izuku fic. It's called Tear the Upholstery. Fuck. Alright, so that's the end of the Heroic Epiphany series. Y'all heard me fucking the pure confusion at the chapter 2 not being a second chapter. I do that a lot, if you didn't notice, with Max 6. I didn't realize chapter 5 was just an update that they were ending it. This one's update did say that they might continue it, but considering that the work has been orphaned, and once you orphan a work, you can't really take that back. Definitely not ever getting updated. But it is a really good fic. I really like this entire series. The part where fucking Ida says 7 feet for Jesus. I love that. All over, this is definitely a fun, like, interesting series. I really like it. I hope you did too. Make sure, if you are able to, hop on over to AO3, give the author, that's what I wanted to say, kudos to work, maybe drop some comments, again, on AO3 preferably, so wherever really, sorry, I just read a notification, yeah, drop some comments on over at the AO3, praise the author, they did a wondrous job there, it's really good, yay, I honestly think that's it. So, I hope you all have a wonderful next 24 hours. Eat, sleep, drink. Oh wait, actually before I get into the intro fully, I am recording this the same point in time, December 20th, that I'm recording Slippery Bastard, except, sorry, I need to adjust how I'm sad because my leg is starting to hurt, except I'm going to schedule this one so it goes live at a different point in time. Not sure when I want it to go live, but we'll figure that out. I was gonna say the 25th, but 1, that's 5 days away, 2, that's Christmas. No, I celebrate Christmas. Oh, sorry, kitten. Delight Love, my cat, is in my lap again. So I know I celebrate Christmas. You know, not everyone does, and honestly, so valid. I'm not Christian or ultra-religious by any means. Damn cat. I fall more into the agnostic category, actually, so that's fun. I do know how, like, I hope the afterlife works, but it's honestly whatever. We're dead by then, we don't really get a say in what happens. So, I'm probably going to schedule this for the 22nd, actually. I'm going to try to backlog a bunch of fics, start scheduling them out a bit, and, sorry. I can word. What's this one? Ooh. Alright, I'm probably gonna try and backlog a bunch of fics, and maybe record like 3 or 4 that I can post on Christmas. You know, just so you can have a little Christmas special or whatever. Okay, well, sorry I keep going quiet. I'm just, like, trying to figure out some fics, because I have a bunch, like, pulled up. I'll read them and see when it's best to, like, release them based on how finished they are, kind of the quality. It would help if my voice would work with me. Goodness. This is the whole, oh my flubber, wait, is this, oh wait, no, this is, okay, never mind. Wait, come back out. You know, I'm just talking nonsense at this point. Sorry. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful next 24 hours. Eat as much as you can handle, as much as it takes to keep yourself sustained. We are not doing the nutrient bit anymore. I can't figure out the word I'm supposed to use there. Eat to keep yourself sustained. Have a little sweet treat if you can, you know, something, yay. Something pleasant. Drink some water. If you have a medication you've been procrastinating, take that. If you have a medication you need to take soon, make sure you have an alarm set. Sleep. Get some sleep. Definitely. Don't be like me. I was up until 2 a.m. last night, and then I woke up at like 7:40 a.m., which honestly is pretty good. That's like 5-something hours of sleep. Like, we're good. Right. Anyways, see you all next time. Bye.